Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Dr. Ambedkar International Center, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, I welcome all of you to DIC on the occasion of a week-long International Women's Day celebration. DIC salutes the spirit of womanhood and Nari Shakti. The International Women's Day celebration, which we started at DIC on 3rd of March, is culminating today, and we are proud that the Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is also with us, partnering with us in the today's celebration. Baba Sahab B.R. Ambedkar once said that, I measure the progress of a community by the degree of progress which women have achieved. As a student in London, young Ambedkar was highly influenced by the civil liberties and the women's emancipation movement in the West. As the first law minister of independent India and the chairman of the drafting committee, Ambedkar has held critical positions which influence the legislative framework of the country. Dr. Ambedkar created awareness among the poor, illiterate women and inspired them to fight against the unjust and the social practices like child marriage and Devdasi system. Dr. Ambedkar always pushed for inclusion of women's rights in the political vocabulary of the Constitution of India. The empowerment and autonomy of women and the improvement of their political, social, economic, and health status is a highly important end in itself. To have such a worldview in the early 20th century, when the country was going through a grave political turmoil, speaks volumes about the vision of Baba Sahab. He envisaged an India where rights are universal and exclusive of women. Through his efforts, now we see women rise as journalists, politicians, doctors, engineers, lawyers, and in many other uncharted professional spheres. Women of today choose the right career path and determine their future, and thus we see them excelling in every walk of life. Today we have invited women officials in the public services to speak about their work and discuss the role of gender from a different perspective. The round table will examine if the women's economic empowerment is central to realizing women's right and gender equality. Now I request Mr. Paritosh Mittal, Financial Advisor, DIC, to kindly come up to the stage and introduce the guest. Jai Hind.
A very good afternoon to you all. March 8th, the International Women's Day, is to celebrate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievement of women. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was one of the first activists to root the rights of women, working women in India. Today, at Dr. Ambedkar International Center, we have invited on panel women government officers to share their experiences on how the mentorship had shaped their future, on the roadblocks that they have overcome, and of course, the diversity of leadership that they have provided. Before I introduce the panel to the audience, I would invite Director DIC to felicitate our guests, please. Shrimati Radhika Chakravarti. Seema Singh ji. Monica Bhatia ji. To introduce our panel, we have Shrimati Radhika Chakravarti. Ma'am is a Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Ma'am is a 1996 batch officer. Ma'am has been formulating and implementing policies on National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction, and she has been instrumental in Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. She is also currently dealing with the matters of beggary and transgender persons. Our other panelist is Monica Bhatia ji. Ma'am is the Principal Commissioner with the Ministry of Finance, where she is heading a commissionerate responsible for ensuring tax compliance by multinational enterprises. She has done her Masters of Business Administration from City University of New York and is also a certified public accountant, State of Maine, USA. She has to her credit more than 30 years of developmental experience working at national and international levels. She has been head of Secretariat of Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development and successfully led the critical yet contentious international agenda of implementing transparency standards. She has actively contributed to OECD's work on gender and taxation and brought crucial perspective on gender equality to the Women's Political Leaders Summit in Mexico in 2015. She had led the team with iron fist in the velvet glove. She has also worked on the issues of domestic resource mobilization, public finance, policy making, and capacity building. We have amongst us a very inspiring Lieutenant Colonel Seema Singh. As the name suggests, you must have guessed, she is an Indian Army officer. She is of batch of 1995. She is handling the backbone of the Indian Army's logistics. The officer has varied experience in postings in all terrain across the country. The officer has worked for over 25 years with excellence and recognition in otherwise a male-dominated arena. I welcome each of the panelists and would request to share their experiences. Now I'll request Vidushi to please conduct the panel proceedings. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vidushi, and I am the Media and IT Consultant at Dr. Ambedkar International Center. And I believe that every day should be celebrated as Women's Day. However, to honor their achievements, the UN has announced March 8th as the International Women's Day. Also, it is the day to acknowledge their courage of breaking the rigid stereotypes and coming out as strong, powerful women. DIC believes that International Women's Day is the time to reflect on progress made, to call for change, and to celebrate the acts of courage and determination by ordinary women who have played an extraordinary role in the history of their country and community. The empowerment of women is great responsibility that all women need. The world becomes a better place when women do not feel the hardship to exist. For many years, women have faced several difficulties, and for Indian women's movement, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar provides powerful source of inspiration to formulate a feminist political agenda which simultaneously addresses the issue of class, caste, and gender in the contemporary socio-political setup. Dr. Ambedkar saw women as the victims of oppressive, caste-based, and rigid hierarchical social system, which is why he wanted women to have the higher participation in all walks of life. Even as a legislator under the colonial regime, Dr. Ambedkar was one of the first activists to root for the rights of working women. At each step, Dr. Ambedkar challenged the deep-rooted patriarchal foundations for Indian society and helped in drafting a constitution which has stood the test of time. I would like to emphasize that in keeping with the spirit of Dr. Ambedkar's vision, Dr. Ambedkar International Center believes that women have the power to create, nurture, and transform, and that women are the engines of enriching society. Today's discussion is dedicated to the contribution of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on women empowerment and honoring the achievement of women by identifying, celebrating, and increasing visibility of women achievement that can help forge equality and to celebrate women-led development initiatives. Thank you. A very warm welcome to all the panelists here. Ma'am, I would like to first ask one very basic question from all, because all of you are from the different department of the government, that what has been your journey as a woman service person? Ma'am, let's go about you. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Vidushi. I think the journey so far, that's what you had asked. Journey so far as a lady officer had been great. There are a lot of ups rather than downs for me personally. And as a lady or a lady officer, I feel we are shaped by both the female as well as the male gender in terms of our parents, mother, father. So how balanced their upbringing is, or the insights they give us. So that basically shapes us as individuals, and that which also reflects as when we take up jobs. So that is what has happened with me. I think so far so good. It has been a very exciting journey. There are, I think, during the course of discussions, what all had happened and the incidents, which could have happened, which could have been otherwise, or, things like that, we will be going into details. But just to answer your question, Vidushi, it's been great so far.
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. I am an army officer, and I was born to parents who has raised me as any other individual would be. They never differentiate between a boy and a girl. So, to me, joining the armed forces was a dream come true. My father was from the defense background services, and it's my childhood aspiration that I would like to join the services. But those days, the entry for women in the armed forces was not open. But कहते हैं ना, किसी चीज़ को अगर शिद्दत से चाहो, तो उसका रास्ता खुद ब खुद बन जाता है. While I was doing my graduation in second year, the entry for women in the armed forces started in the year 1993. And I got commissioned in the year 1995. It was a very tough selection because it was on a trial basis. This was one arena which was not explored by the women as their work field. Women were everywhere, minus the armed forces. So the entry, when we got commissioned, it was only for 5 years, which was to be extended for another 5 years. So it was a very pleasant journey, as ma'am has said, lot of ups, then the downs. I have evolved as a very strong woman, and the army, I entered the academy as a teenage student, but when I came out, I was a strong woman, a warrior. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, and very happy Women's Day to everyone present as well. I think like the two esteemed ladies before me, I can echo their words to say that the journey for me as an IRS officer in income tax has been absolutely fantastic and amazing. There are very, very few downs, mostly ups. And looking back to, reflecting a little bit on how I did get into the civil services, I was born and brought up in Chandigarh to parents who wanted to educate their daughter very well. But the society and the environment or the cultural norms were more focused कि लड़की की शादी कैसे होगी. लड़की की शादी, लड़की जो है इतनी गोरी पैदा नहीं हुई है, she is not born very fair, तो शादी कैसे होगी. So that was more of an expectation of a girl rather than what career she will take or what profession she will follow. It wasn't really the talked about thing that was more for my brother, what profession he would take. And so I would say my entry into civil services was more accidental than purposeful. So, so we were merrily going along school, college, university, and by mistake I topped the university. I was doing law, which was a shock to everybody. And so then my father started saying, he was a civil servant himself, and he said, "Tum bhi exam de do, tum bhi shayad pass ho jaoge," and eventually I did. And got into the civil services, whereas my ambition all along was to just be a housewife and look after my husband and children. And so accidentally I got into the civil services, and since then I think the journey has only been, upwards. It has been a fantastic time. As a lady officer, I think our department, or at least the government service, provides you with so much protection as well as the confidence to do what you have to do. We never did face any discrimination in any manner. We were always encouraged. We were always treated with respect. So, and also the being in the government opened up so many other opportunities for us, and that is why I was able to go abroad. I worked in an international organization, and even there I found that the world was welcoming to women, and the small challenges are there, but I think that we can overcome. So it's been a great journey, and we will explore a little bit more as we go along discussions.
Ma'am, I have a question from you. Ma'am, because you are from revenue services and because you deal with people who are generating revenue, how much is the contribution of women in revenue, like business-wise or services-wise?
If you say in terms of paying taxes, yeah, in terms of paying taxes, I think it will be the same contribution as there are in the women workforce. Like the reality, I guess, of workforces in India at least is most of the women are not in very high paying work. A lot of the labor of women in India is unpaid, and they're paid lesser salaries than men are outside the government service. In the government service, there's no discrimination. And of course, now I think there is much more increase because a lot of women are becoming entrepreneurs, and a lot of women are setting up their own businesses. So I foresee that going forward, the contribution of women will increase, or I would not say increase, it would be recognized in terms of monetary values. I think the contribution of women to the building of the country or the building of the nation is immense. It is tremendous, but it often goes unrecognized. The labor is often unpaid, whether it's at home or otherwise, and it doesn't get the same value as the labor of men does. So I think as we go along, as we modernize and women come forward, I think their contribution in terms of taxes to the country will also increase, even as their contribution otherwise is tremendous.
Ma'am, because you are from the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and because our ministry deals with the minorities, how do you think, like, women from the minority, what is the standing of women belonging to various minorities that we have in India?
Standing in the sense, Vidushi, the socio-economic, cultural context, I think perhaps you're asking. See, in our country, there are so many religions, so many castes, so many states, so many languages, so many divides. Okay, at the same time, we have certain strong things which hold us together. So whatever we see, our upbringing of a male child or a female child, or our working as a lady officer or a male officer, or there's another category that is added now, the transgender persons, okay, which is now legally recognized. So every issue has to be looked in from the socio-economic, cultural context. So I feel that the challenges, if I ask you a question like, would it be challenging for a woman in our country to take up the same work as a man in the country? What would your answer be? I think majority of you would say that yes, it is definitely challenging. It has its own challenges. We will definitely agree on that point that it is not, something which we can say no challenges, absolutely. We are treated on par, or we are the same, the genders are the same. We can't say that. So having said that, the women already have certain challenges. And if you are from the economically and socially weaker strata, then the challenges are much more. The effort required is much more. The effort on yourself, by yourself, by your family, and the effort on the part of the society also to even see the person, like, who's struggling so much, the potential of the person, okay, which is always, which is always evaluated with a frame of mind. Okay, the person is from this particular economic or social strata of the society. So there is a lot of perceptions. So because of these perceptions, otherwise a normal or less challenging work would become more challenging. So to answer your question, Vidushi, women in our country will have to face challenges. That is the truth. And having said that, and if you're especially from the economically or socially backward strata of the society, the challenges are much more. But I must say, I must congratulate all the entrepreneurs who are present here, and also those who are not present here but who have made a mark, of their own. It requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of courage, and there has been considerable progress. And in the future, in the years to come, I'm sure, there will be a lot of development. But the challenges are, yes. But that is what we are there for. Or the women are for what? To face challenges. In fact, what is the theme of this International Women's Day? No, theme of the International Women's Day is propose to challenge. Okay? Propose to challenge. That means you must challenge. So you will know, like, how three of us would have challenged, in our own, in our schemes of work or in our own situations, in our own spaces. But propose to challenge is the theme. So everybody has to challenge. Women will have to challenge that we are there. Okay, it calls for attention. Okay, we are there. We have arrived. Please see. So that's more for the women from the economically and socially deprived strata.
Ma'am, I would like to ask you, ma'am, आर्मी में विमेन का लाइक अभी रेशियो कंपेयर टू मेन बहुत कम है, एंड इवेंचुअली अब धीरे धीरे आर्मी में क्या भी है, लाइक हम लोग फाइटर प्लेन्स भी उड़ा रहे हैं आर्मी में सर्विसेज में, एंड अब आप जैसे एक सीनियर कर्नल लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल भी हैं आर्मी में. तो मैम, व्हाट हैज़ बिन द चेंज इतने सालों में आपकी सर्विसेज में, जितना चेंज पिछले जब से इंडिपेंडेंस मिला है हमें 70 सालों में, क्या चेंज आया है आर्मी में विमेन के लिए?
Army is the oldest organization of our country. और इसमें महिलाओं का आना एक खुद में एक लैंडमार्क डिसीजन था. दी एनवायरनमेंट इन द आर्मी, हमारी जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है उसमें हमारे प्रति, औरतों के प्रति बहुत ज़्यादा वो लोग प्रोटेक्टिव हैं. तो इसीलिए बहुत टाइम लगा इस फैसले को लेने में कि महिलाओं की एंट्री करी जाए या ना करी जाए. तो जब ये शुरू हुई एंट्री, तो ये ट्रायल बेसिस पे थी कि दोनों तरफ से एक्सेप्टेंस होना चाहिए. मेरे को भी इस सिस्टम में अडेप्ट होना है और ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को भी मेरे हिसाब से वो मुझे एक्सेप्ट कर पाते हैं कि नहीं. तो इस विचार को रखते हुए जब उन्होंने ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ने एंट्री शुरू करी और मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मुझे जाना है इस सिस्टम के अंदर, तो आई हैव नेवर डिसाइडेड दिस एज अ वुमन. मैंने जो डिसाइड किया था कि मुझे ये यूनिफॉर्म पहननी है एज अ इंडिविजुअल, और इस यूनिफॉर्म को पहनने के साथ कई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज़ आ जाएंगी मेरे कंधों पर. सो ट्रेनिंग के बाद, ट्रेनिंग में व्हेन वी वेंट फॉर द ट्रेनिंग, सबसे पहला काम था कि हमारे बालों को काट दिया गया. और धीरे धीरे वो 6 महीने के अंदर जब मैं बाहर आई, केवल आवाज़ थी औरतों वाली. उसके अलावा मेरे पेरेंट्स भी मुझे नहीं पहचान सके. पूरा स्किन टैन हो चुका था, बाल कट गए थे और फिज़िकली एकदम पतली, लेकिन आवाज़ में जो बुलंदी थी, जो एक जज्बा था कि मुझे अब मैं इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में आ गई हूँ और मुझे अपने मेल काउंटर के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चलना है. तो मेरे जो स्त्री और पुरुष का जो भेद होता है वो यहाँ पर होता है. It is never there in the gender. It is never there. If you think like a man, you are a man. While I have put in 25 years plus service, and मैंने कभी नहीं ये समझा कि मैं एक स्त्री हूँ, मैं एक महिला हूँ. मैं हमेशा ये महसूस करती थी मैं उनमें से एक हूँ. और यही वो वजह थी जिसने मुझे पुल ऑन किया। लेकिन देखिए सब लोग, मैं आज एक बेसिक सी बात बताना चाहती हूँ कि कोई भी महिला या लड़की जब इस पेडिस्टल पर पहुँचती है, उसकी शुरुआत उसके घर से होती है, और उस बच्ची का जो घर में जो सबसे स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट इंस्टीट्यूशन है वो उसका पिता होता है। वो पिता अगर अपनी बच्ची को इस हिसाब से पाले कि नहीं बेटी तुझे हर जगह उड़ना है, तो यकीन मानिए उसके घर में जो उसके सिबलिंग्स हैं, जो उसके ब्रदर्स हैं, जो उसके और भी मेल सदस्य हैं, वो भी उस बच्ची को उस हिसाब से देखने लगेंगे। तो जो कॉन्फिडेंस है, थैंक यू, तो जो एक स्त्री के अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस है कि वो दुनिया को कॉन्कर कर सकती है, वो कॉन्फिडेंस उसके पिता देते हैं उसको। सो आज मैं चाहूँगी कि जब आप लोग जाएं वापस, ज़रूर हर पिता ये महसूस करे कि यस, आज वो एक लाइफ को बदलेगा, वो एक थॉट को बदलेगा, वो ये मानेगा कि उसके पास एक बेटी नहीं है, बेटी के साथ साथ उसके पास यूनिवर्स का एक वूम है। दिस वूम जो है ये नर्चर करता है। अ वुमन इज़ अ कंप्लीट सर्कल। मैं एक महिला हूँ सिर्फ मैं बात करने के लिए, लेकिन मैं अपने दिमाग से, अपने जज्बात से, मैं आई एम एज गुड एज एनी अदर मेल सिटिंग ओवर हियर, और मे बी आई एम better. I don't want to have a comparison, but yes, I am strong. Nothing can deter me because if I decide. So with this जज्बा, जब मैं अपनी बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, हम बहुत मुट्ठी भर स्त्रियां हैं फौज के अंदर। आज लगभग 30 साल के बाद भी ऑलमोस्ट 30 इयर्स होने जा रहा है। हमारी नफरी इज़ 1600, लेकिन जो ये 1600 women हैं, वी आर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग women, वी कैन डू एनीथिंग। वी जस्ट वांट कि आप हमें काम दीजिए और आप हमसे काम लीजिए। इसके बियॉन्ड जस्ट डोंट ट्रीट एज वुमेन। वी आर वुमेन एट होम, बट व्हेन वी कम आउट वी आर एज गुड एज एनी वन ऑफ माई काउंटर पार्ट्स। थैंक यू।
मैम, एज अ वुमन एंड ओवरऑल अभी तक आपके जर्नी में मैम क्या क्या रोड ब्लॉक्स आए हैं, या आपके ऑफिस में या आपके आसपास आपने देखा हो विमेन, क्योंकि बिकॉज यू हैव स्पेंड टाइम अब्रॉड ऑल्सो, आप फ्रांस में रही हैं, एंड वहाँ में और यहाँ में विमेन के बीइंग एन ऑफिशियल, लाइक वर्किंग विमेन का क्या डिफरेंस है?
थैंक यू फॉर दैट क्वेश्चन। एंड मैं बहुत इम्प्रेस हुई आपकी बात से कि फादर जो है वो बेटी को आगे वो कॉन्फिडेंस देते हैं। आई 100% एग्री विद इट। आई थिंक हम सबके फादर्स ने हमें ज़रूर इनकरेज किया है और बताया है कि तुम कुछ भी कर सकती हो। तो उसमें आई जस्ट वांटेड टू ऐड वन थिंग कि मुझे कहीं लगता है कि हमारे पेरेंट्स ने हम लड़कियों को ये सोच दी है कि तुम कुछ भी कर सकती हो, तुम लड़की और लड़के में फ़र्क नहीं है, आप you are a human being first, and you are a human being, you are a person, you can do anything. But एक और ज़रूरत है कि जो अपने बेटों को सोच दी है, वो सोच भी यही होनी चाहिए कि आपकी बहन कुछ भी कर सकती है। वो शायद आपके यहाँ हो ज़रूर, एंड आई कैन सी दैट कि ये है सोच, बट सब जगह मैंने नहीं देखी ये सोच है जहाँ की लड़कों को ये बताया जाए कि तुम्हारी बहन भी बराबर है तुम्हारे से या तुमसे आगे है। तो वो सोच बहुत बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है। जहाँ तक रोड ब्लॉक्स, यू आर आस्किंग मी कि रोड ब्लॉक्स क्या कह रहे, एज अ गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल कोई बहुत बड़े रोड ब्लॉक्स वर नॉट देयर बिकॉज वी हैव इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी, हमारी सैलरी इज़ इक्वल, वी गेट इक्वल प्रमोशन अपॉर्चुनिटीज़। बट एट अ सोशल लेवल, इवन विद इन office environment, there is a certain way, women are looked at. Either they are too protected, okay, don't give her this difficult job, don't give her this income tax raid nahi karna hai, even though I have been myself on many raids. But sometimes there is that thought that tough assignments should not be given to women, and that is sometimes reflected in the way, in bureaucracy you will see that women may find a glass ceiling somewhere, and in some ways because they are not given that difficult assignments there. It used to be there earlier times that women IAS officers were not really district magistrates, they were not made district magistrate, which is not the case anymore, and I'm talking about 20-25 years ago. So that could be there. I think other roadblocks sometimes were about, again, given assignments where you don't have to be late at night. You can't stay late at night, so you were given assignments where you could go. Or it was assumed that you would want to go home at 6 and you would have to prove yourself that, no, I can stay, no problem. I can stay till 10, I can stay till 11, not an issue there. So those kind of things were there. As far as working in an international organization was concerned, and sometimes I was confused whether some issues were there because I was a brown woman, like I was not a white woman, or I was just a woman. Or maybe both the things. So you would suddenly be in meetings, you'll be sitting in meetings, and 90% of the other people would be white people. And I would give some suggestion or some idea, and nobody would take notice of it. But if the same idea is repeated by a white man, suddenly they would say, oh, what a good idea, what a good idea. And I would say, ये idea तो मेरा था, उसने कैसे बताया, how are you recognizing that? तो ऐसा कई बार होता था कि you were ignored. Meetings में आप बैठे हो, that a woman's voice was not listened to. And you had to keep repeating, and then they would say, ये तो चिची चिची करती रहती है, ये बोलती रहती है. But you had to assert yourself to be heard. You had to be a little more aggressive to be recognized. That I saw was there many times. I remember that I would speak at a lot of international conferences, and sometimes you would see that today I'm happy to see that we are an all women panel on a Women's Day, but I have seen several panels where there would be all men sitting on the stage, even 8, 9 men sitting on the stage, and which we would call manels. And men would be sitting and talking about women's empowerment. And you were like, what are you talking? And so those situations we would call out. Like we had a policy in our international organization that men are not allowed to participate in manels. We call them manels, where are all men. So they are required as a matter of policy to give their place to a woman and suggest the name of another woman, because it's very, very important to hear women's voices. They're competent, and not because they're women, but because they're competent and because they're often overlooked. So internationally, I see there is more recognition of that you have to include women in decision making. They have to be at the table. They have to be there when peace negotiations are going on. There have to be more women in board of directors. Like in Europe, it's mandatory to have a certain number of women on board of directors. And there have to be women when you are recruiting. When we were recruiting, there have to be the equal number of shortlisted candidates that men and women. Recruitment boards have to have an equal number of women or a women representation. So I see that there are a lot more, in a sense, conscious efforts to include. I think parity is not there in a majority of countries in the world. And India is doing great in many areas. But we have also a lot to learn from other countries. I think we are doing that. And sometimes I would give the example of the Indian bureaucracy. And I said, listen, in India, because with age and with seniority, you do get promoted. A lot of women do occupy very senior positions. And of course, the example of Indian women in politics and India having the prime minister as a woman was always touted as the fact. And India was looked at as a country where women are empowered. But side by side, there would be stories of, a girl's head being cut off by the father, and similar stories would come. So it was always a very mixed view of India from outside. And all the time, I would be questioned, and I would be the brand ambassador, and I would clarify, and I would always, obviously, tell about all the great things that are there. But I think they only saw the reality that in India, there are different realities. There are women who are doing fantastically well, but we have a lot of ground to cover as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have heard that many people, they don't let their daughters go out to study, or they don't let daughters go out to work because they're scared, because of the thing that you just said, that anything can happen. So, but still, if what Dr. Ambedkar said, that if we want the upliftment of the entire society, we need to make our women educated. Women need to come out and work with us together. So in this situation, when it's been 70 years of our independence, and still it is not a safe, and it is not, I'm not just talking about India, I'm talking about the entire world here. It is not a safe place for women. Then how do you think that, people would allow their women to go out and work, to go out and study? Because I've heard many times that they say we don't send because it is not a safe place.
Well, my simple answer to that is that more women need to be out there, right? There are fewer women, that's why it's considered not safe. So women have to claim their place outside of the home. They can't be sitting at home being scared. You know, there is enough research to show that where women are leading in a country, I mean, the recent research is about COVID response, where women are heads of state or heads of government, countries have done much better on COVID. Where women are on companies' boards, their earnings are much better. You know, where women are in leadership positions, where women are more in police, then the reporting of crimes against women is much more. Like we have all women police stations, the reporting is more. Internationally, when you're looking at incidents of violence, sexual violence and conflict, people will get punished where women are negotiating peace deals. People will get punished if women are judges, if women are prosecutors. So my simple answer is women need to claim their place in the world. They can't just sit in hiding. They have to be out there. And if there are issues there, yes, there are issues, there are problems, but the answer to that is not to stay at home or to stay covered up. The answer is to be out there and in more numbers than just being in the kitchen.
Radhika ma'am, it's been a very long time since we got independence, and women are where we are right now in 70 years. And because there were certain laws that were made to protect women's rights. But now that our ministry is doing so much for the transgenders, which is the third gender of, which is the third gender. So how much time do you think it will require for this, I'll not say segment, but this gender of people for the upliftment, for parity, for to be equal as we are, to come up to the stage and sit here and talk to an audience like this?
I think when I came here, I came straight from another gathering where, we had, I was a panelist in a transgender women's panel. So they're already there. Okay, they're already on the stage talking to different people and expressing their, their views and also creating a lot of awareness. But having said that, if the same question, if we ask, I won't be able to answer you. Like if you say, how do you see, women in our country in the next 10 years? Okay, we will progress, definitely we will progress, but we won't be able to say okay, we'll reach there. For the transgender women, it's actually a tall order. Because if you see society, in general, pata nahi hai, kaun hai transgender, pata nahi hai. Whatever we know is what we see on the roads. And then the community, which is generally looked at, and then, you keep away. Acha, chalo, ignore. और दूर रहें और ये ऐसे हैं वैसे हैं, so many perceptions. Generally the society somehow is like that. So उनमें awareness create करना is a big thing, because it's a very simple question. एक question है, today one of the panelists had mentioned, जो लोग say मैं female हूँ, कोई male है, तो हमारा gender clear है. And there is no ambiguity about that. Ambiguity about the feelings, how we feel. I'm a female, I feel like a female. Somebody is a male, they'll feel like a male. There's no ambiguity. कितना sense of entitlement है? सबको कितना sense of entitlement है? Suppose if you want to use a restroom, then it's very clear which restroom you would go. A female would go to a female restroom, a man would go to a male restroom. It's said then. तो इतना छोटा छोटा चीज़ आपको जो entitled लगते हैं, that is a question of survival for us. If she was saying that if I have to use a restroom now, I really do not know which restroom I should go to, because you have only a male and a female restroom. I do not know where to go to. So what do? I don't drink water. And this has been a part of me for last so many years. You know, just छोटे छोटे जो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं कोई इंसान का, स्पेशली मार्जिनलाइज्ड कम्युनिटीज़ का, तो एम्पैथी, बहुत एम्पैथी चाहिए होता है उनके प्रॉब्लम्स के साथ आइडेंटिफाई करने का. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, अनदर वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन, अगर है हम बाय जेंडर एक मेल है या फीमेल है, बट सडनली एक सर्टेन एज के बाद हम दूसरे जैसा फील करते हैं. इफ़ आई एम अ फीमेल and suddenly I realize after I am 8 or 7 or something, I start feeling like a male. तब क्या होता है, वो सिचुएशन को, वो क्राइसिस वाले सिचुएशन को कैसे हैंडल करें, मैं कैसे हैंडल करूं, पेरेंट्स कैसे हैंडल करते हैं, और सिबलिंग्स कैसे हैंडल करते हैं, और सोसाइटी क्या क्या बोलती हैं. तो उनका एग्जिस्टेंस ही बहुत लाइक यू नो इट्स अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. सो एवरी स्टेप जो लोग वो लेते हैं, एवरी स्टेप एक हर्डल है. तो वह हर्डल क्रॉस करने के लिए सोसाइटी का इन्वॉल्वमेंट बहुत ही ज़रूरी है. उसके लिए अवेयरनेस होना, उनके प्रॉब्लम्स, वो एक्चुअली होते कौन हैं, कैसे होते हैं, उनका फिजियोलॉजी कैसे होता है, उनका मेंटल एटीट्यूड कैसे होता है, उनका अप्रोच टुवर्ड्स देम कैसे होनी चाहिए, दैट द सोसाइटी हैज़ टू नो. वो एफर्ट लेने से ही वो पता चलता है. So ministry, fortunately, I am working for that community because like ministry is the nodal, हमारे ministry nodal ministry है transgender persons के लिए. So after a lot of struggle, एक transgender protection of rights act आया है, बहुत ही it's a landmark act, I must say, giving recognition to a particular community जो है हमारे कंट्री में या इंटरनेशनली कम्युनिटी हैं, human beings हैं with those kind of needs, with those kind of variations, and who expect help from the government, who expect help from the society. तो उनके लिए कुछ कर पाए हैं. I think that's a very landmark thing the ministry could do through Transgender Protection of Rights Act. और ये एक्ट बनने के बाद इसमें क्लॉजेस डाला जाता है, क्या क्या उनके सिक्योरिटी के लिए क्या होने चाहिए, वेलफेयर के लिए क्या होने चाहिए, एजुकेशन के लिए क्या होने चाहिए, एंड ऑल दैट. ये सेक्शंस को लागू करने के लिए, इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए देश में रूल्स बनाया जाता है. माने जैसे मैं कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को बोल सकती हूँ कि आपको ये करनी चाहिए, क्या और कैसे करनी चाहिए. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को बोल सकते हैं, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया से ये करनी चाहिए आपको, और आप वो कैसे करेंगे, क्या बोर्ड होनी चाहिए, क्या प्रोविजंस रखना है, ये सब. तो ये रूल्स के लिए यू विल नॉट बिलीव मोर थाउजेंड्स ऑफ व्यूज़ आए हैं, इनपुट्स आए हैं. एक जैसे हमारे स्कूल में जैसे हमारे टीचर्स हमको सिखाते हैं ना, जो बच्चों को कैसे पढ़ना है, हाउ टू रीड. You put a pen under each line, each word, and read like this, read like this. That is how we have gone through each and every suggestion. Because we have to be very sensitive to that. This is a community which is already marginalized. When I am talking, already suffered so much. If you are looking at economically, socially deprived strata के लिए हम जो कर रहे हैं, और अगर वो community का ही acceptance नहीं है, और उनके लिए करने के लिए माने कितना sensitivity होना है, with all that kind of sensitivity we have made these rules, and definitely there is a start, definitely there is a lot of awareness, and आपको खुशी होगी, आपको surprise होगा कितने माने well educated, most vocal, educated, decent people हैं community में, transgender community में. They are heading multinational companies, they are in they are the directors, in the board of directors. They're doing very well, very educated kind of persons they are there. And now they are coming out into the society about their gender identity. तो उनको धिक्कारना नहीं है. As a society, we should not say bad things to them, because as a human being to human being, we are not supposed to be bad to anybody. That's what everybody, our families, our parents taught us, not to be bad to anybody, not to be bad to any human being, and we should be more empathetic and very understanding about the needs. So particularly about transgender community, the beginning has been made, and it's a quite strong, vibrative beginning, and which is getting lot of support from government of, as a Government of India representative, I'm getting lot of support from the entire society, from the entire community. So it is a long way to go, but still definitely things would definitely improve for them.
Thank you so much. I think that is one very important thing that we discussed today on International Women's Day about transgenders. And this is how, like, if we'll empathize and if we'll be with them, if we'll stand with them and treat them as equal, then only the society will change. So I would like to ask, ma'am, from all of you, that which are the women in your life who have inspired you? Ma'am, would you like to go first?
Well, I would start with my mother. Of course, I think we all stand on the shoulders of women who have paved the way for us before. And my mother fought herself to be educated. She wanted to not be a teacher like anybody else, but she wanted to be a doctor, and she became a doctor. And so for me, growing up in a household where my mother was earning more than my father was, she had a private practice, etc. So for me, a strong woman role model was what I imbibed from the beginning, subconsciously. Like I keep saying it was my father who encouraged me to go into civil services, etc. But still, I think my mother's role was much more integral to it, because I saw her as a strong, confident woman, and I did not know any other way to be a woman. I just knew that you had to be strong, you had to be confident, and you had to just be yourself. Other than that, I think along the way in your career, you meet a lot of women who, and like any other human society, both good and bad, some inspire you and some don't inspire you. And so a lot of credit goes to a lot of senior officers in my department that I have come across. Again, they have paved their way for us to accept things as normal, things that they fought for. So I would give credit to all of them, but basically to my mother, most of all.
I also feel, and I affirm what ma'am has said, it's my mother also, and she is the one who has inspired me. But besides her, I want to give credit to my daughter. She is not my mom, but she is the one who has kept me going. I was commissioned in 95, got married in 96, and she came in my life in 97. So since then till now, she is a part and parcel of my life. She is the one who controls my nerves if I get agitated. See, as a working woman, we face a lot of issues of office hours and while in office. So she is like, Mama, cool down. Sab theek ho jayega. And I'll tell you, she is the one who is always with me in my thick and thin, and accompanying me to courts, like with a 9-year, she was a 9-year-old girl when she used to go along with me to the courts. And now she's pursuing MBBS, and I know she's going to come out as a very good doctor. So these are the two ladies who has inspired me a lot. Thank you.
I think it goes without saying, of course, for everybody, I think, it's mother, my mother too. But your question was only for who are the women who influenced? Okay. Who the influenced? I think every woman would be influenced not just by women, but, the role of the male, fathers, husbands, children, if you have sons. And I very strongly believe the generation which is next to us is a much, much, much better, very superior generation compared to our generation. Okay, so my sons, okay, they all have shaped me. But my first credit, I would give to, of course, my mother and my father too. Without them, I'm not there. How to be, how not to be. I know how to handle situations, and how to, how to be normal in the most adverse situations, how to be balanced, how to be firm without being curt. So there are so many learnings which, through both of them I got. And I also would like to, on this forum, since you asked about women, my grandmother, My maternal grandmother, she is also a very strong lady, very traditional but very strong, very modern in their outlook. You know, the traditionality is only in the dressing, but in their modern, you know, that they should get their children educated. And there is no difference between a boy and a girl. They had about, you know, I think maybe she had about 10 children or so. But, you know, there's no difference between male and female kind of thing. So that kind of a modern outlook. And as you all know, like, you know, generally the children are more closer to the grandparents than parents. Okay, so my grandmother played a very important role, and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law, very, very important, very strong personality, a very accomplished surgeon. So I was with her, you know, the majority of the years of my life than with my mother, because I was married very young. So all my, like, you know, and she is a outright career kind of a person who would not know how to cook and things like that, but she would extremely, like, you know, she's adept at her surgeries, and she would do it free. So she also impacted me a lot. In fact, I remember one thing when I got married, my father-in-law's side, his sisters, they came to told me, no, see, your mother-in-law and all, she doesn't even know how to cook. Basically, that's what, how to turn a ladle. Mane aise khana banate time mein, she doesn't know how to do that. But then I told her, like, you know, but she knows how to, like, you know, yield a knife and do a surgery. And she was that too a gynecologist. So these are the women who have influenced me, and lot of women in service. Great people who are continuing in the service, very accomplished, very intelligent, very humble people, very educated, coming from very rich families but very humble, coming from very poor families but they have accomplished so much. Some of them, they quit their jobs, very lucrative government services. You know, government services comes with its own perks. They quit it. They're settled now in some village and doing social work. So admirable women I had in my life. It's because of them, like, you know, I am whatever I am today.
That's just wonderful, ma'am. Ma'am, last question that I would ask you all. How have you helped women in your life? Like, you know, especially I would like to know at your workplaces, if you have helped any women or if you have worked with women that have impacted or changed lives of different people, different women.
And often their voices are overlooked, and often they are tied in gender-specific roles, even at workplaces. You know, there's a very, very small thing, but I have always opposed the idea of women handing over bouquets when a chief guest arrives or a VIP arrives. So why, if there are 4 officers, why should just the woman be asked to do that? So I've always made it a point to give that parity there, not just have the men do it, but for both of them to do it. So it's a small, very small thing. Other than that, I think it's making sure that women around you in your workplaces, they are safe. They feel safe and protected. Like as officers, you know, we are confident and we feel we are able to handle ourselves. But when there are women in not that important positions, whether they are, you know, data entry operators, whether they're PNs, they're working in environments with other male colleagues and who may not be, these girls may not be that powerful. So you make sure that their work environment is very safe for them, and also to give the message that they're not going to get special privileges because they're women. You know, you expect the same from them, that yes, there could be issues. You strike a balance between accommodating that, okay, there is a small child who's sick at home, and if the husband can't go home, so I would tell her to go home. Nahi, tum chale jao, ghar chale jao, because you are on one hand appreciating that they have a larger burden. Unko ghar bhi dekhna hai, unko office bhi dekhna hai. So you accommodate for that, but at the same time, you are demanding their performance to be equal, because you don't want to give them special treatment because they're women, so their performance has to be the same. it sounds a bit unfair, but that's the reality of the world we live in. We don't want others to say in the office कि ये तो लड़की है, ये तो 4 बजे घर चली जाएगी या ये होगा या late नहीं बैठ सकती है. So A, make their work environment very safe. I think third area where I have tried to do to bring forward women is in recruitment. Like when I was abroad, like incumbent, we have less say in recruiting others, but when I was in the international organization, I was looking after recruitment. So I made sure that apart from the policies of balancing the panels and balancing the recruitment, this thing, that we make sure that if there is a good woman, she's brought forward. So that was one way to encourage women. And of course, in terms of having them at the table and having decision-making roles rather than just being ornamental. It was very important to hear what they were saying about different issues. Because of their perception, I think, again, we talk about gender diversity, we talk about different strengths that men bring and women bring. And so there was an effort to bring different voices there. And working in an international organization, I think the effort was manifold because it wasn't just gender, but it was also country, it was also region, it was also, you make sure you hear voices from different regions, whether you have somebody from Africa, somebody from Eastern Europe, somebody from India, somebody from US, somebody from Europe. So it became way more, I would say, extensive in making sure that, you know, that you take care of the gender aspect, but also many other aspects out there. So I think that this will continue. I think this will continue in future. And of course, I think one role outside of workplace is encouraging the girls in your family, whether it's your nieces, whether it's your, you know, in your social circle. And when they will come and ask you, what do we want to do? Kya kare hum, you know? So I would always say, civil services mein chale jao. Maybe ma'am will always say, army is there for you, and, you know, just be an inspiring role model for the girls that are there, so that they see that, yes, you know, there's somebody to look forward to. And I would say 25 years ago, this was less so, and I'm single, I was divorced, so a lot of families might say, ki, "Arey, ye ladki divorced hai, isse zyada baat mat karo." But I saw the change where there were mothers encouraging their girls to come and talk to me and spend time with me. That said, ki unke saath jaake baat karo, you will be inspired in a better way. So by being a role model as well as actively encouraging, I think that is what I have tried to do. Thank you.
I would like to say that army is not only about war or operations. It is a very small component of my organization. Basically, ये कहावत है कि अपने घर को दुरुस्त रखें तो सब कुछ दुरुस्त चलता है. तो मैं अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जिधर भी गर्दन हिलाती थी, बंदा ही खड़ा दिखता था मुझे. It used to be male and only male. So the thing was there, by virtue of my gender, I being a woman, and by virtue of my uniform, I was approachable to both the husband and wife. So wherever there is a problem, there has to be a problem. If a family is there, problems तो होंगी ही होंगी. So your lady used to pick up the phone, call, "Madam, हमारा ये problem चल रहा है." I'll call the husband, "Okay, why is this happening?" Nobody used to question, and then it used to be a very nice kind of a environment around in the organization because of us. So I feel that our entry in the organization has paved a lot of, given a solution to a lot of problems. And we are peacetime, when we are doing the peacetime soldiery, it is like we have to take care of our families also. So in a way, I have inspired many women around me, and I was available for everybody, anybody, any women can approach me with their problem or any kind of guidance. Besides this, we have got a set of widows with us. So for them also, we were very approachable, and they can discuss their problems. They want some kind of guidance for their children. It was always there. Thank you.
So your question was how many women?
How have you- yeah.
How I helped women?
Yes.
Well, that is for the women, like, who worked with me, it's for them to say. But if one is an indication that almost everybody who worked with me are in touch with me even now, across so many years. Okay, so probably that is one way of, that they find that, that they can approach me for anything at any point of time. I think that one could be an indication. But as far as work sphere is concerned, workspace is concerned, it's the same scale for everybody. As far as I'm concerned, like, the others would also agree with me. Of course, providing a safe and secure environment for working for the women, that's compulsory, as definitely male officers also would provide for that, and female officers would be much more like, perhaps sensitive, because we know what possibly can come up from there. But as far as work is concerned, it's the same scale for a male or a female officer. So it is like, help them grow in work, in their capabilities, in their approach to work as well as life. I think is somehow, we show it through an example, by leading our lives that way, by doing our work that way. And I think that is one way of help. Otherwise, like, the other two panelists have mentioned, like, yes, anybody, like, we don't say no to anybody. Okay, so that leaves women and men, it really doesn't matter. Like, whoever wants help, whatever is possible within the scope of things, that's definitely will be given to them. Whether it's time, whether it's effort, or whether it is in terms of things that help would be given.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, everyone, for being here and listening to the panel. And I think it was a very fruitful discussion that we had today. And it was so wonderful to listen to all your stories and experiences coming from different departments of government. Thank you so much. Thank you.